Christina sits on a bed in the sunlit bedroom of a heritage home. She looks at the floor.
I'm giving you all, and it's all that I've got. Stay with me.
Christina Martin, Stay With Me, directed by B. Henry.
I'm keeping busy, cause it makes me feel young and wanted. Stay with me. I'm older and wiser, don't let that be bad.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Neighborhood Conversations. It's always good to be in your neighborhood to have a conversation, to talk about different strategies, to talk about different topics that's going to inspire you, that's going to connect you, that's going to make you aware of so many amazing things that's going around in our community. And today, we have music. Music is a good tune to our soul. It helps us to connect to community to a different level, and we have an amazing artist. We have an amazing individual podcaster, public speaker. What I can say, growth expert. I've seen a lot of personality topics that you have talked about. Christina Martin, everyone. Christina, thank you so much for coming on to the Neighborhood Conversations. Welcome. How are you?
I'm already inspired by you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Christina, I'm really passionate sometimes, so it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. How's your day going?
me. Well, even better now. I had a
That's
good
good.
start. It's been a
That's good.
good couple of days. I've got some good news. The last couple of days that was like, when you're following your path with heart, and sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you stay on the path, and
Yeah.
then you all of a sudden something turns, and you're like, oh my goodness, like I
Uh-huh.
can't. It was worth staying on the path. It was worth the hard work. It was worth believing in myself. So I'm
Yeah.
having one of those kinds of weeks.
Oh, I love that. I love those kind of weeks when you just have like those turning points, but also having that faith to believe in yourself. And oh my goodness, I love the way how you just start this podcast off. I just love it already. And I'm not even in the questions yet. You're really exciting me already for this conversation. Christina,
Yay.
yeah, this is good. Thank you so much for joining. Christina, you're a music individual. I want to get into the conversation. I think this is really important, just to learn more about your work, and what got you passionate about the music industry. But my first question I'm going to throw at you is, why is music important to you and also in today's society as well? Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, I've had a lot of time in recent years to think about that, Templeton. um, because I wondered as I got older, like, why am I doing this? And when things were hard, but I couldn't quit, I
Right.
was like, why? Why is this important to me?
Yeah.
And I think, first of all, when I was young, music, my parents encouraged us to play music. We had music lessons. They took us to the theater. My father had a big vinyl collection. So I think growing up with it around and falling in love with certain musicians and music videos, like, I suppose I turned to music to escape and to, um, kind of find refuge, I suppose, when
Mm,
maybe during tough times. And
right.
also, we celebrate with music. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
everywhere in our lives. Our favorite movies, it's the soundtrack of our lives. And when I got older, I decided I kind of left playing music for many, many years, but I knew I enjoyed singing, but I would sing to myself, and it was kind of like a self-soothing thing.
Yeah.
And I found as a really anxious person for much of my life, that when I was singing, I was breathing.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
was when I was the things I love doing, like exercise and singing, I was always around like, oh, I'm breathing and I'm feeling healthy because of it.
Yeah.
So I guess that also drew me to it. But then songwriting, like that was a whole other thing that I only started when I was 19, 20. And I really feel like that was my opportunity to say something, and then I found stages that I could be heard, and
Yeah.
then I found connection with people
Yeah.
based on the things that I didn't really open up and talk about before,
Yeah.
growing up. I was kind of silent about a lot of things. And so then I got sort of hooked on this idea that, oh, I could write a song and figure out exactly what I'm trying to say, like about the world or about, through
Yeah.
stories. And
Hmm.
um, and then I found connection through people and sharing that, by singing and just showing up at gigs and touring. So, I mean, there's so many reasons why I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really amazing. Christina, music it has an emotional connection. It brings like so much heartbeat to your feeling, that positive energy. And for me, when I'm in my office, I it's the music that helps me to stay energized, to stay connected to my day. And I feel that lyrics are important to me as well. The meaning of the lyrics and how it actually connects with my heart and also what I'm doing and all that good stuff. And oh, I just light up when it comes down to music and you and hearing your story and hearing you actually finding music to connect with you during those times when you needed that space. And for me, I sing aloud just to hear myself and just to feel the beat of where I'm going and all that good stuff. And so wow, I just felt that just now when talking about that and creating the space. I feel that when you're creating that space for music to come in and bring in all the positive energy that it needs to bring in, and it helps with different mental health. It helps with it does, like music brings a lot of vibrant energy to protect that mental health and to allow you to cry, allow you to laugh, to allow you to go crazy and and be yourself and be your true self and all that good stuff. And so yeah, that's really 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 good. Do you have anything to say about that before I go on to the next question? I think that's really good. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, adding to that, I mean, it's really, I think, I just can't imagine what my life would be like without, having kind of refound this avenue to heal for myself. Like I feel like I'm still on a healing journey from,
Yeah,
but just from trauma that happened when I was young, even though it was a long time ago.
right,
The first part of your life really shapes who you are and
right,
sets you on a path. And so there was like a lot of unlearning that had to be done. And as soon as I decided that I was going to be a singer songwriter and I was going to follow the music business, and I knew it was going to take every ounce of me, and I had to stay away from things that were going to hurt me that I was really drawn to initially, like,
right.
drugs and alcohol. And
Yeah,
um, I knew that it had destroyed my dear people in my family. I lost my brother to an overdose, and he was a
hmm,
brilliant artist. And so I was noticing these things at a young age and going, you know what? I have to work hard and smart and stay clean as much as possible. This is just for myself. Like
yeah,
couldn't I just had there was no room for any of that if I wanted to have a shot at this dream that I
yeah,
could spend like my life communicating through music,
yeah,
um, and to relay like positive messages of healing.
yeah,
So you're right about that. Just that it's just a really great opportunity to heal, even if you're not a singer songwriter, but you turn on
yeah,
some music, you go for a run or a walk, you listen to,
yeah,
your favorite artist or favorite podcast. And
yeah,
it's all about trying to find something that validates where you want to go in your life, I
yeah.
think, and how to be a better person in this body, in this, lifetime, I suppose. And music's helped me stay on a healthy path.
Yeah, that's really amazing, Christina. Yeah, I listen to music as well on my way to my office because I'm 7 minutes away from my office. So every 7 minutes back and forth, I get to tune in for 7 minutes, just be in the moment, and I block out everything. Even though I'm walking, I block out anything that's trying to stop me, and I'm on my way. And sometimes I'm dancing I'm on the beat, or maybe bopping my head, and sometimes someone might say, "Oh, he's having a good day," or he's feeling good. But it also inspires people to smile, in all that good stuff. You talked a bit about your journey, and I want to dive into that question. Can you share with us a bit of your journey with specifically with the disability community, and how that has brought music to inspire them as well, through the music that you have? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I'll start off by, I used to in terms of like the disability community, when I lived in Austin, Texas, which is known as the live music capital of the world. I moved there when I was 19. I was a nanny, and I got a job at a middle school as a tech aide, and my roommate, Nancy Perkins, she was a special educations teacher. So she one day asked me if I might be interested in working for families on the side because there were a lot of families that needed extra support.
Hmm.
And so I started doing that work, on the side. Had many jobs trying to raise money to do my first record, and I kind of had my first taste of a community, a new community, a new population that, was basically, I think, kind of marginalized and didn't really have a huge voice, and I wasn't really seeing, out in public as much, if at all. And I was working with young adults and teenagers, um, and and so I kind of, when I moved back to Eastern Canada, to Atlantic Canada, I kept doing this work as I was going back to university, and I suppose it just kind of set me on a path where I kind of had my eye always open for things I could learn,
Hmm.
not just about different, everybody who's different, and I have things about me that are different, and
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
all do.
We all
So
do.
I
Yeah.
wasn't really looking at it like, as okay, this disability community, but I did see, I did really enjoy the work that I was doing, providing
Hmm.
support for individuals, and I love planning activities. I love event planning, and so when I worked with individuals or for organizations, across really many years, throughout my school, and then after I graduated, I was a counselor with an organization called RRSS in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So I worked in group home settings, um, with individuals with intellectual and physical disabilities.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
Yeah.
so, I felt like it was part of my responsibility to make sure that, if the people I was providing support for wanted to get out in the community and do something fun, like that was my job to make sure, okay, let's make it happen. So I was always on the lookout for like, fun places we could go and do activities. And then when you're doing that, you're also keeping in mind the challenges that your clients are
Yeah.
experiencing, and you're noticing places that maybe they can't access easily as you
Right.
can, maybe as an able-bodied, somebody who doesn't identify as living with a disability, a physical disability, or even an intellectual disability. So yeah, I started noticing these things, and yeah, and I guess it just carried over into my life. But for when I became a full time musician, my
Hmm.
mind was more focused on how the heck do I survive in this industry so that I can do the thing I love, which, remember, it's just I want to make connections with my music. I want to be a songwriter. I want to express myself, um, and I want to be on a path of healing, I guess. So, but along that path, now I'm in the music industry. My my head is screwed on so clearly, tightly.
Right.
Um, Blinders are on. I've I had people come and tell me at after my shows that, I wanted to come to your show, but I couldn't access it. Like I couldn't get
Yeah.
into the venue.
Yeah.
Even I thought certain venues were accessible, like for, when you say accessibility, a lot of people just think wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's invisible disabilities as well as visible disabilities, and such a range, right? Like
Right.
there's sensory, sensory sensitivities. So there's a lot to learn, unlearn, and I needed to do that work because people were starting to tell me that they couldn't get into my shows or whatnot. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, long story short, not that short.
No, no, it's good.
Uh, this last year, I partnered with Sensory Friendly Solutions, and the founder of that is her name is uh, Crystal Seeberger, and she's based in St. John, New Brunswick. And Crystal really helped me to get some funding to hire her and some other also organizations to really help me kind of learn how to make my music more accessible in some ways. And so I can't say that every single show that I do or every piece of content that I put out is accessible to everybody. That's not the point. The point is to that I've been trying to learn ways and then implement them. So things like um, making audio described music versions of my music videos. Giving making sure there are options for viewers. And that includes things like proper closed captions, or I have a podcast now, so I made sure to, create transcripts and subtitles for
Mhm.
for each episode, um, and those are just a few things I'm talking about that I've learned and that I've tried to implement. Um, yeah, so it's I still have a lot to learn. We're working right now. Through working with Sensory Friendly Solutions, they helped me get a government grant to help transition my website to become accessible to screen readers and WCAG 2.1 um, compatible. So that's something we're working on now. I'm very excited about it, as well as launching 12 audio described music videos from my back catalog.
Wow.
So there's
That's
lots of people doing like a way more than me.
No, I feel like you're doing really good to make things accessible to persons within the disability community, and that's really amazing on the partnership and the collaboration that you're working on. Wow, I'm impressed. Now, I mean, I looked at your website and I saw like you had accessibility section of your website. So like I was looking at that, and so I was just curious, and that's really inspiring that you're an advocate, but also hearing the story from you being back in Austin, Texas, and stuff like that. And yeah, that's really good. I dive into you're passionate about this work and you're passionate about what you do. What inspired you to take up this career in the music industry? Like what inspired you, or I would say who inspired you to get into this industry? Yeah.
I look forward to my family's security in the future. That's the main goal as a father.
The empowerment from changing careers has really just made me want to get out of bed in the morning.
I'm looking forward to growing my business. So I want to hire people like I was hired. I want to give guys that chance.
Il me fera plaisir de continuer à travailler avec les immigrants francophones en Nouvelle-Écosse.
I am looking forward to the financial freedom that I never had before.
Well, what and who? Both good questions. I would say, at the core of it is like my I guess drive to. I really do want to become. I want to write songs. I want to
Yeah.
write songs and sing them. And I mean, over the years, things have changed slightly. I mean, I met my partner Dale Murray. He and I have a studio in our home. We tour together, and so I've grown to quite be passionate about making things with him. So not just music, but we've really enjoyed collaborating on the podcast, A Chat with Heart, and making music for film and TV as well over the years. And ultimately, I think I really love creating, and I want to be able to keep doing that. And so, in order to do that, I had to learn the business. And
Hmm.
I saw probably over a decade ago, I started seeing other singer songwriters, particularly female singer songwriters. There were male, definitely male songwriters at the time that I followed, and I thought, great. But, I think there was something about being a woman in the music industry and
Hmm.
not necessarily, before I moved to Halifax, I was around tons of artists in Austin, but nobody was really making a full-time go at it. Nobody talked business. It was all about singing and songwriting and like, it wasn't about making a living necessarily. That just seemed like an untouchable thing, and the whole DIY do it yourself thing didn't quite pick up. It was just too much work for people. I think it's a lot of
Yeah.
work. But when I moved to Halifax, there were some female singer songwriters like Jill Barber and Rose Cousins and Jen Grant, um, and I'm sure others that were really making a go at it and doing so great. And I loved their music, and I loved what they were doing. I watched them over the years. I watched them evolve and grow, and I thought, oh, I maybe I can do this,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and 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 so I just tried to soak up every music industry event or educational bit that was offered, like through Music Nova Scotia, East Coast Music Awards. The Atlantic Film Festival had a music component to it, so we were learning about how to network and create music for film and TV, or at least pitch our music for. So all the ways I could make a living, so that I could fuel this passion to make music and and perform, and maybe become a better performer, entertainer, and dabble in all kinds of things.
Wow, that's really amazing, and it's also good to hear that you also partner with do this work with your partner as well. That's really inspiring that it connects, and that's beautiful. That's really lovely for sure. Um, what sets your music apart? What's unique about it? That helps the community to understand more about your work. Yeah.
I think like this isn't such a wild response or anything. Like it's I guess it's from my perspective. Like I think
Yeah.
now more than maybe ever. I mean, I do. I'm writing first and foremost from my heart, and
Yeah.
from what I feel is important to say. So it's my voice, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I have necessarily a unique voice, but it's
Yeah.
mine, and
It's
it's
u-
filtered
it's
through
unique. It's
my
unique. It's yours. It's your
it's
voice. You own
well,
it, and you can say that
yeah,
because you're confident in that area. So definitely you have that unique in because it's from your personal story in your journey. That's the uniqueness of itself. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know how unique it is, but I love, I do think that my influences, my classic influences, classic rock and pop, do
Mhm.
kind of bleed through. I don't listen to, and it's not that I don't love new music. I have this thing where I actually, when I'm working and trying to focus on something, I can't listen to music. So I work a lot, and unless I'm jogging or like learning a new song for a specific thing, like I don't listen to music as much, so I'm just kind of stuck on the old stuff, like
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Petty and the Heartbreakers and the Pretenders and Eurythmics and stuff from the
Mhm.
80s and 90s or before.
Right.
But then there's new music like the Killers that that sort of reminds me of like Springsteen and some of these other older great bands, I suppose.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, so I think some of that bleeds through in my writing and my music. But ultimately, it's like, I guess what's special about anybody's music is that it's filtered through their lens, their perspective, and um, yeah, it's me.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're interested in rock, and all that other stuff. What I would say, what do you perform? Like, what type of music do you perform? I forgot to even ask that question.
Oh, it's
What
okay.
is?
I don't even know how to answer it because it's I mean, I think now after 20 some years I've come around to just say I first and foremost a singer-songwriter,
Yeah,
because I was writing songs in Austin. It was very much like sort of this what they call Americana vibe, which is basically a mesh of like folk
yeah,
and blues and everything,
yeah.
R&B and rock and rockabilly, everything under the sun. But I'm not really schooled in any particular genre,
Mm-hmm.
so I just
Mm-hmm.
like I think singer-songwriter, but I would have to say I think like pop, rock, and folk influence. So I like the story. I do like there to be a strong, clear message,
Mm-hmm.
and I like some of my songs will have like a story to it. But then
Mm-hmm.
others are more pop. have pop sensibilities, you know.
Right, right, right.
There's more clear to the point, maybe frivolous at times, and yeah.
Uh,
So I don't know. Sometimes I just throw up roots, rock, pop, singer,
yeah,
songwriter. It's a lot, but it's
yeah.
nothing super specific like sultry grunge or anything like that. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it,
Wow,
I
wow.
just
That's amazing. I would put you on the spot to actually sing for us today, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'll let the intro and the intro be that part for sure. But you know, I want you to leave us with a tip or a quote for our audience to keep them inspired. I think that's a good way to end this episode. We try to allow persons who are on this podcast to share a bit of inspiration that will inspire them to move forward. So, what do you got for us? What is a tip or a quote that helps you as you continue to move forward in this life?
well, I can't swear on this, right?
Oh, I mean, you can. It's the neighborhood conversation, but what's in the lines? What's in the lines of the quote? For sure, for sure. We'll do that.
Wait, I was just gonna. I say this to myself a lot when I, you know, get um, when I get either down on myself or too anxious or worried, or I just find like I'm not grounded. You're saying that I am allowed to swear?
Go ahead. Go ahead. What do you say? Go ahead.
I say, calm the down.
Yeah, yeah. And
Calm down.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes, listen, we're in the neighborhood. We're in the neighborhood having serious conversation.
Yeah,
It's yeah. And sometimes you gotta say that to yourself in order to move forward. And so that's really important. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Chill the fuck out, and it's gonna be okay. But I will say, you say that, and then you know, stay the path with heart.
yeah,
Just stay the course,
yeah.
and everything will work out fine.
Yeah, yeah, and you know you gotta say the raw thing that you say, and also keep that motivation. It's a balance. That's what it's called,
Yeah,
balance. But
yeah,
also knowing how to say how to pick yourself up. Get your ass up. Like that's something that you have to say to yourself in order for you to stay
mm,
connected, in order for you to move forward in that. And so this is good. Christina Martin, you're definitely going to be coming back onto the neighborhood conversations because I feel like you're definitely valuable, and I would love to learn more about what you're doing to inspire the community, and how it's going to build. At the Neighborhood Conversations, we try to inspire people. Take a listen to Christina Martin's music, that's going to help continue to inspire. Thank you for joining us, Christina, on today's episode. And thank you, audience, listening audience, for joining us on today's episode. And we'll see you at the next one.
thank you, Templeton.
This podcast is funded by the Government of Nova Scotia.